At first, it's still as a founder and co-founder, your dad and I, we may go, well, why you want to leave? Movie.
Why you want to leave
Why you want
me?
to leave? But you know what? Hey, it's part of growth.
Yeah.
Inspiring.
Mm.
Will you have the difficulties at times, maybe not feeling as confident,
Mhm.
and yet pushing through that fear or that lack of being as confident and knowing that you well deserve to be in this space,
Mhm.
owning it and conveying that same message with my girls.
Welcome to Candle Conversations. I'm Amy Wright, and I'm here today with Cherie Hendricks. Today, we're talking about family legacy. On our last podcast, we discussed more about getting a business started and how Cherie was able to establish a business that has now hit over 20 years established. If you haven't looked at it, take a look. Today, we'll discuss building a female owned family legacy in the home fragrance industry. Cherie, thank you again for coming.
You are so welcome, Amy. It's a pleasure.
Are you excited about discussing this today?
I am.
Good.
I am.
Good. So, today we'll start with passing down knowledge across generations. What do you think your method was for involving your children and grandchildren in the business so far?
One key word that you've mentioned, and that is involving.
Hmm.
And it was very important that they not only started at an early age as far as involving, which means that I know in our previous episode you mentioned how you dropped off a candle to one of your teachers, and then I also mentioned the experience we had with fragrances. It wasn't so much it was just me and the perfumer, but you all were right there.
Yeah.
And so I feel the involvement in your feedback with not only my daughters, but as well as my granddaughter, and including my husband, it played an important part.
Yeah, those were really nice memories to be at the family table and just, or on the deck, passing these, beautiful fragrance around, making selections, voting on what we liked best. It was fun.
Absolutely. Actually, I think it would be a great idea that we can invite the audience virtually, of course, and we're on the deck and we have that kind of experience for the spring. I think it would be fun.
Yeah. Put it in the chat if you wanna if you wanna be involved in that. That'd be awesome. So tell me some stories of mentorship and hands-on learning with the family. So we talked about the fragrance. What are some other experiences that come to mind when it came to getting everyone prepared?
First of all, having the willingness.
Mm-hmm.
And although we do get busy, being able to see the value of taking the time. I remember one young lady who'd asked if I would mentor her, and I learned as much as she did, I feel. And I shared with her about the mistakes and also the wins. So I think the key word would be I'm willing to do it and taking the time to do it and also following through and being committed.
Yeah, those are definitely key factors involved. Now, I guess the second part of my question is hands-on learning and, bringing the family in that. I have a distinct memory of going to a professional candle making class
Right.
and doing that together. And it was like, okay, if everybody's going to get involved, let's learn the basics. And you took us through, it was almost like ground zero to how to even make a candle. And that was a really memorable experience.
Absolutely. Because after all, I had to learn, and also I didn't know it all. And so I think that being humble enough to say, you know what, I really, really need to not only know this craft, but to be able to specialize in doing a product, you have to learn from the best. And that company, I'm very grateful, who offered the candle making classes that we went to together as a family. Still today, they're well known, but that learning process for not only myself but you all played an important part in the type of candle that we create today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that kind of leads me into the subject of innovation and progress. What would you say was a part of balancing tradition with innovation as the business has evolved over the years?
Good question. Tradition was traditionally we, as I mentioned before, we started off in the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
ultimately transitioning into the garage.
Mm-hmm.
But and then ultimately transitioning on Laguna Canyon Road in Laguna Beach.
Our
When
first
we,
studio.
exactly, our first flagship store as well as studio.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to keep up with that kind of growth, especially when we saw we were going from X amount of candles a day to XXX amount of candles a day,
Mm-hmm.
we knew that, of course, we continued to hand pour, but innovating would mean equipment
Yeah.
and having the budget and seeing the importance of the need to innovate and keep up with the candle industry,
Mm-hmm.
and so the equipment helped us so that we can meet the demand.
Beautiful. Really aiding in the growth of the business.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. So, what about cultural significance? We're a Black female owned company, and there's elements of our culture that we want to maintain, that we want to include. How do you feel has been the impact of maintaining a Black ownership in a competitive industry?
Challenging
Mm.
and yet inspiring.
Mm.
Will you have the difficulties at times, maybe not feeling as confident,
Mhm.
and yet pushing through that fear or that lack of being as confident and knowing that you well deserve to be in this space,
Mhm.
owning it and conveying that same message with my girls.
Mhm. Yeah. I remember there being experiences that really made it important, I think, for you guys to lay the foundation for us so that when we were speaking to reps or whoever it might be, there was a comfort level and established foundation so that they even knew, as you having only daughters at the time, that it was a female future for this business. And so it was as if they needed to know that and they needed to be aware of that and feel comfortable on their end as well.
Yeah, so true. When one's asked, well, what made you start the company? That was a key factor. I
Mm-hmm.
really, really wanted my girls to be able to choose
Mm-hmm.
between working for themselves or for someone. I felt even then women empowerment is important. It's important that we convey that message with our children, our girls, as well as our sons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, how would you say community connections have aided in the branding and the cultural touchstone of the business?
It's important. It's very, very important. And community can be broad.
Mm-hmm.
You could be, and you can also look at that from your data.
Mm-hmm.
You can look at it just from your database, that type of thing. I remember speaking with one woman who was a specialist as far as data, and I remember me saying, I just had this. I really thought the bulk of my customers were in Laguna Beach,
Mm-hmm.
Laguna Candles. And yet, based on the data, she talked about the young lady or the girls who were in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
or the families who were in Los Angeles supporting us, or in my hometown in St. Louis, Missouri. So community is, although I'm very happy I do quite a bit of volunteer work. So I love working within my community,
Mm-hmm.
but yet I've grown to understand that community is very broad, so don't underestimate its reach.
Mm. Yeah, that's a great reminder. It's almost like you had to repackage what community meant to you and
Absolutely.
who you're touching, who your audience is, your demographic, really.
Yes.
Now, what about navigating representation and visibility in the marketplace?
I feel that from a marketing standpoint, it's important that you're seen
Mm-hmm.
and being able to make sure even within your photography, your graphic design, making sure that you include ones of color, even if it's from a hand holding one of your candles or
Mm-hmm.
clipping one. All of those small things make a difference. We're a Black-owned company.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, I want to make sure that we represent that. And so the diversity when it comes to a luxury brand, this is so new for them. So for them to see that, um, the diversity within our marketing structure and strategy is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
And that's across the board.
Mm-hmm. I think that just being aware of that,
Right.
and of course, we love people of all colors, and
Right.
so just to involve and include any and everyone in that, I think is an important strategy, if you will, to make sure that that is conveyed in your goals.
Very, very important because for many years we weren't,
Mm-hmm.
and that's even from the standpoint of just people of color overall,
Mm-hmm.
and for many years women.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
especially in the luxury realm.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's important that it's seen, acknowledged, and appreciated.
Mm-hmm. So let's move on to sustaining a legacy, looking really into the future.
Right.
What are some strategies for keeping the business family run over decades?
Oh, excellent question. The family business dynamics
Mm-hmm.
can be challenging.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want it to be forced upon any of your family members. You want them to willingly, and to me that's a very important word when it comes to being able to keep peace within the business relationship, and then not only that within the family.
Mm-hmm.
So the dynamics at times were challenging
Mm-hmm.
because, as I mentioned, I wanted them to choose.
Mm-hmm.
You all, I should say. And some chose to go and work for other companies.
Give us the tea.
Exactly.
It didn't work for everybody.
It didn't work for everybody. And you can kind of take that personal.
Yeah, I imagine so.
You can kind of take it like, well, wait, this was part of my dream.
Mm-hmm.
But what I had to come to terms with was they have dreams too.
Mm.
And not only that, some of them are coming back.
Mm-hmm.
They still have their what's the word?
The contribution?
Their contributions or their gifts within the family business.
Mm-hmm.
And some have opted, well, I don't want to offer that gift right now because I'm very much so focused on the company I'm working for. And I respect that. And then there are some who are saying within the three of you all, and you have your mates and my granddaughter and her mate, who are saying, I have a nugget here. Let's sit down and talk. And let me share this nugget that I feel would be a tremendous asset to our legacy brand, Laguna Candles.
Mm-hmm. So it's almost like a consultant basis.
Exactly.
Instead of a regular employee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they still play an important part in our family business.
Mm-hmm.
And they still have the goal of ultimately being able to come full circle and run this company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. a groundwork that has been beautifully laid in giving everyone that option, that
Right.
opportunity.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, everyone deserves that freedom.
Mm-hmm.
They deserve that.
So you speak on one's coming full circle, always seeing themselves here at some point. So, how do you prepare the next generation for leadership and stewardship?
Keeping them informed.
Mm.
We meet on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
That's vital.
Mm-hmm.
Having them, please make sure you continue to look at us, even as a consumer. Look at us on our social media platform, make suggestions, just mainly keeping them informed about the journey that the company is going. I don't, there are times when they maybe, I've had one of my daughters, she was utterly shocked when we got our flagship store, but she was very, very much committed with the company that she was working with. She knew we were considering it, but we had to make some decisions, and those decisions involve some of her feedback and some it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore, when we got that flagship store, not only was she shocked, she was just so proud. So I'm very happy that, as I mentioned before, you all have had the benefit of following, just as you and your husband as well. At first, it's still as a founder and co-founder, your dad and I, we may go, well, why you want to leave? Movie.
Why you want to leave
Why
me?
you want to leave? But you know what? Hey, it's part of growth.
Yeah.
And you all have your dreams as well. So
Yeah.
we have to respect that and support it.
Yeah. But, I think the beautiful thing is that everyone's heart is still in it.
Absolutely. So
We
true.
can go different directions, but it's always, those check-ins. I hear ones who call in like, okay, what's that? Well, I saw this post. You might want to edit this. And it's
Right.
like, oh, but you're not, you're
Right.
busy with something else at the moment. But I think everyone's heart is still a part of the family business. And so that legacy is not lost.
Absolutely.
That legacy
Yeah,
will never be lost.
I agree.
So in that case, what is the vision for growth while honoring the company's roots? What does the future look like?
Honoring the company's roots,
Mm-hmm.
because that's very, very important. And that actually carries on, that kind of parlays with the steps we've taken with our newest collection, the Founders Collection.
Mm-hmm.
Because each fragrance shares a component of our roots, our grandparents, my mom, each fragrance. So that particular collection is just very, very near and dear to me. But then at the same time, as far as the growth of the company, what we are doing now is playing an important part of the growth, and that is sharing our story. The story, it's important that we be able to share our story with ones who've been we've had a community that have been very loyal.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to say, listen, here's our story. No, we didn't do it perfectly, but we did it. And to be able to share our story with them. And then when it comes to growth, I'd like some more global growth. And then not only that, when it comes to growth, we're looking into adding additional products.
Okay.
So those are areas of growth that we're looking in. And then one of our lowest hanging fruit that I found to be really just fascinating, I'm so excited about it, is our events that we hold.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember the very first one at our flagship store, and there was a corporate client that came in, and I can remember starting off with just fragrance notes.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked them to smell this one fragrance, and it was a tomato fragrance. And I remember them smelling it, and the team was like, ooh, they weren't feeling it at all. But then they started to add a little bit of other notes to that tomato, that fragrance. And ultimately it was just a beautiful fragrance that they all were so excited about.
Mm-hmm.
And I liken that to inclusivity and diversity.
Mm-hmm.
When one can just, maybe at first it may, I don't know if but when you can add various others within that mix
Mm-hmm.
and you get this beautiful fragrance, that's true diversity, and that's true, to me, it's true love, because you
Mm-hmm.
come to love that custom fragrance that you thought you would not like at first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. These are exciting things that you envision for the business, the growth that you see. And what a wonderful foundation, as I've been saying throughout, that you've laid for the next generation. I know I've personally benefited, my sisters have benefited. So we thank you and Dad for really laying that out for us. We look forward to what the future of Laguna Candles has to bring.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Candle Conversations. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we look forward to you tuning in next time. And if you want more episodes like this, be sure to subscribe to our channel.